Utah. We have LaunchUp.
All right, our third company is a company called QR Code City. Speaking of QR codes, Press, we don't plan this stuff. It's kind of pretty chaotic, actually. But Kirk Ouimet, who is a second-time presenter from LaunchUp, he's working on some new stuff. So I'll let him tell you about QR Code City. But their 3 lessons, observations. Number 1, style design matters. Number 2, be healthy. Number 3, create value. Short, sweet. Come and tell us about QR Code City, Kirk. I think I tried to move that. You're going to have to point it. It's kind of shifty.
Cool. So I actually, some of you may know Garrett G. He was actually the one who introduced me first to QR Code City. So the team right now is Garrett G., myself, and Ben Turley. And so Garrett's the main designer. He does all the design for, he owns a design company here locally called Capital G Design, and he's done a lot of work with a lot of the local startups, and he's really pushed himself that way. And he kind of stumbled upon this idea of using QR codes to create better marketing. For using it for marketing. And Ben Turley is our developer. He's currently working on the iPhone app, and I'm doing the actual website. So have any of you guys, I know a lot of you probably don't even know what a QR code is, but how many of you, by raise of hands, have seen one of these in the wild? That's pretty good. So this is a pretty tech group. I went to Google I/O last year, and something that they did at Google I/O is they actually had name badges for all of the people who attended the conference, and they had a little QR code on your name badge. And so what you do is you take out a smartphone, like an Android or iPhone, and you actually just hold it to someone's chest. It was kind of weird because they were doing this, and then it would scan it and pop up their name, like email address, phone number, all kinds of stuff. And so the QR code, it's actually a 2-dimensional barcode. So a standard barcode is it's just a series of lines of varying thickness. This is kind of the same idea, except on 2 dimensions, and they can hold any amount of data. So they basically just scale in size, and you can fill them and make them really big. The more data inside of them, the larger they are. So that is a QR code. These are crazy in Japan. They were used at the Adobe conference in California. They were used at Google I/O. So a lot of people don't know about them, but I think they're really fun, and Garrett's used it in his designs. So QR codes, they're being used for marketing. They're being used to track print analytics. So some companies, although it hasn't really caught on yet, some companies are actually sticking these in their brochures and things like that, and using them to see. The goal of the QR code is to bridge the physical world with the digital world. So you're flipping through a magazine, or you've got a little card or something. You just want to be able to easily scan it and get some digital information. Promotional items and conferences. That's how they're being used now. The biggest problem that a lot of people are having is they generate these QR codes, and they're out on all this material, and the QR codes are static. And so that means that whatever they're pointing to or whatever information they contain can't be changed. And so that's one of the issues that we address. Also, the more data you stuff in a QR code, the harder it is to scan. And all the QR code generators online, most of them can't print out or crank out a vector format image, so you can stick it on a billboard or resize it and wrap it around a mug or put it on something else. So the current formats that they're kicking them out in aren't really scalable. And the biggest problem, I think, is just the US hasn't really caught on so much. Mainly in California is where it's catching on. So QR Code City is we're trying to strategically poise ourselves to be able to take advantage of QR codes as they spread out. We have a few ideas of how we want to make them really useful. So we're going to host QR codes where you can come and get a very simple QR code and put it on whatever promotional material you want. You can put it on a billboard. You can put it in a catalog of products. You could actually get stickers and stick them on a product. And every time someone scans those QR codes, you're going to be able to see where they were when they scanned it, if they shared their information when they actually performed the scan, how many times it's happened. You'll be able to get analytics and all that information. And we'll keep them small, easy to scan, and then our actual software that we'll provide for the iPhone and Android won't have little ads in that. It'll be very clean and easy to use. So mainly, I just wanted to take you through the website design. We'll be up in probably about a week and a half, where you'll be able to go and create your own QR code and print it out and maybe put a little love note in it or stick it somewhere. I don't know, you could just use it for anything. So we've got the design up. What we're thinking is you just jump on the site, you can hit register, and then you can immediately, you can either get information about the app, or then you can go and start generating it. And so this is just the basic interface for jumping on, creating a QR code. We're going to be able to allow you to generate QR codes that tie to any content you want, an image, a file, a video, contact information, a Google map, whatever you want. So whenever people scan it, they're going to get whatever content you want to direct them to. And you can go and change that anytime dynamically, which will be really fun. Here's some mock-ups for just some screenshots for the iPhone app. And so mainly what we need from you, what we really want to do is get testers for our website and just get testers for the actual application. So if you go to qrcodecity.com right now, you can put your email address in, and then when we're ready to launch, we'll shoot you out just an invitation, and you can create a free account. We also wanted to kind of just gather ideas for monetization. One of the ideas that we had, it's really interesting because it ties right in with Karma Key, is one of the ideas is if you're sitting at a restaurant and you just got served, right after your meal, you could just quickly scan a QR code at the bottom of a receipt, and it'll slide you over to a survey. So you can actually enter in like, oh, the waiter was great, or the food was weak, or whatever, and then submit that immediately, and it just simplify that whole process. And then some very easy ways for us to make money would just be working with companies and actually generating the QR codes for their promotional material and generating that material, but that's not super scalable. So mainly we just wanted to connect with potential business users, people that could take advantage of the QR codes, and just think of any other uses for them. So this is actually my very first time presenting this whole content, which is why I'm a little bit shaky about it, but I'd love questions. I'll repeat them unless you want to have the mic run to you. Okay, great. We'll just be right here.
So you have to use your app.
So,
Like the image right now, there's no QR reader that will give you that link.
yeah, so actually we were planning on doing a few. Oh, sorry. So his question was, the current QR code readers aren't capable of reading in images or any of these special formats. So what we plan on doing is if someone scans, all codes will be tied to a URL, and then we'll handle that request. We'll handle the URL request. All the readers right now are capable of receiving a QR code, and then they'll see it's just a URL. They'll redirect to it, and then we'll handle it from there. So if they wanted to upload an image, they're actually just scanning a QR code city URL, and it moves them over to the image or to the video or whatever. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. We plan to innovate it in a way where we're actually thinking about putting user credentials inside the app, so you could get some push functionality. So for example, imagine if we had like a LaunchUp QR code. If you come and scan it, it'll say, hey, do you want to give your email address to Jeremy Hanks? And you can say yes, and then it'll push it out so he can get a list of all the people who came to the event and contact him again. Question in the back.
My question is, so it doesn't sound like from your presentation, awesome, I really love it. I think it has great functionality in many different areas. My question is, you didn't invent the technology, right?
Correct.
So who's the biggest player in the space, and how do you intend to hold market share?
So that's actually really interesting. It kind of ties right in with my response to the previous question. And his question was, who's the biggest market players and how do we plan to get traction and who invented it? So I'm so fresh with QR codes, I actually don't know who the original inventor is. But from what I do understand, right now the only time I've really seen them used well was at these events in California. And so one of the things that I'd really like to see happen is for us to, and that's one of the things that we need to get hooked up with a company where we can actually make it work for them, where I was imagining just like a magazine ad where we just stick it in the bottom right-hand corner, people scan it. It could be like some type of product. They'll scan it. It'll take them to a video showing the product. And ideally, that would just drive awareness and adoption. If some people are trying to use some of the extended functionality like the push feature where you can push your user information like an email, phone, or other contact information, we can intercept a request from a standard QR code reader and say you need to download our app to do that, which would then drive adoption of our iPhone and Android apps. I don't know if that answers your question. No, it's very fragmented. It's just kind of like this open technology that anyone can use, but no one has really capitalized on it. So Ben and I were actually just thinking about this. We were looking at the way to keep the data that we're storing as small as possible, and we did some research and found that Google's URL shortener is the fastest and most reliable. And so we can cram a Google short URL, and it'll make the QR code more simple and easy to read. So on the website, the question was, how do you access analytics on the QR codes? So let's just say there's a scenario where Lexus has a campaign and they want to put a sweet print ad in like a popular magazine. So they would generate the QR code at QR Code City, then they would bind it to like a promotional video or whatever they wanted. And then anytime someone scanned it, it would hit up our site, then redirect them to the promotional material like a Lexus video on YouTube or something. And we would capture their information either through like a true geolocation on the GPS on the device, or we would do IP geolocation. And then we would store that for them. So then the Lexus brand manager could log in and be like, oh, cool, we've got like 8,000 scans in New York, awesome, or we've got all these guys in LA where the magazine's being distributed. And that way you could get a really good feel for how the QR code is actually assisting in the promotion of the new vehicle. So that's really the value is, I mean, with all this print material out there, it will really assist with getting people from the print to either some more promotional material or to an actual being able to purchase it. So, good question. Yeah, so the question is, how do you track the conversion of the user? So how do you track the guy scanning the QR code all the way to the point of purchase? And so that would be the value, because right now with the QR code, they're very dumb in that they don't know anything about who's scanning them. It's just data being stored in this little image. But if we drove adoption of our application that stores user credentials, we would know information about every single user who scanned the QR code. And so you could see, oh, this guy scanned it on this day, then he saw another one 6 months later, and then from that same user with this email address accessed the site and then ended up making a purchase. So I think that would be a really cool, innovative way that we can take QR codes and make them more useful. I can imagine if like Garrett whipped up like a giant billboard with a QR code in it and people maybe at a conference or an event or driving by scanned it, we would just be able to gather all of this information from people, and it should be really helpful. But we're just kind of thinking for the future. Question?
Last question.
Okay.
Sorry,
No problem.
So have you thought about, like, let's say you have print out a magazine where someone, like a user takes pictures of phone, QR code, and then that would be able to post it to social media. Like you actually take a high-res image where that can actually post it on someone's Facebook feed or post it on Twitter. You actually see a high-res version of the same ad and they saw it in print, but it kind of plugs into social media.
Yeah, I don't know if I could. Yeah, I think that'd be great. Well, so business model wise, and I'll just wrap up on this, what I was thinking is if we just go back to kind of like the Lexus example, that brand manager would be able to say, let's say every user gets 1,000 free scans with analytics on them. And then if you want to get a pro plan, it'll be $20 a month up to like 10,000 scans, then at a penny per scan thereafter. So we can actually bill the customers and scale it according to the actual usage. So if this thing is going to be scanned 1 million times, we'll be compensated for that. Or if people are just going to use it for their business, we'll be able to set up a recurring monthly revenue off of it. Just a few ideas on how to actually make money with it. But thank you guys so much. I know the presentation was quick and rough, but I'd love to talk to you more after and just take any ideas you have or any connections to hook us up with people who you think could actually use these and benefit from them. Thank you.